In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to create these amazing videos that have gone viral on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. These are these new topics called countries as soldiers. They're really cool to look at and they're very visually appealing. Again, a lot of these videos have 5 to 10 million views. Some of these channels are racking up hundreds of thousands of subscribers just by posting a few videos. Again, they're very addictive and very cool to look at. They're all AI generated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create this just by inputting a country name, and this automation will generate the animated video, including very high quality images using FLUX, and then also our Runway ML to properly animate that. So that way all you have to do is just take the link and put it on your social media. All right, without wasting too much of your time, let's jump right into the tutorial. All right, so let's go ahead and import our workflow. I'm going to start with the demo, and then we're going to go through step by step and create every different section so that way you have a full understanding of how to do this on your own. All right, so let me go ahead to my community here, go to the classroom section. Let me bring in this workflow here. So the workflow is right here, including the prompts, useful documentation, the resources, everything you need. I've put it nice and clean here. And then also all you have to do is just download this blueprint and you can bring it over to your own workflow. So that way you can run it by yourself if you don't want to do the work, because I've made it a lot easier. So let's go ahead and bring that over to our workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this import from file, and then I'm going to just bring in this workflow. All right, perfect. So let me quickly show you exactly. Let's start with like a entry, and then I'm going to show you exactly the different steps and what's happening. All right, so it takes a form trigger. Again, I've kept it very, very simple. So if we click on test workflow, all you have to do is just input a country name. So if I bring this over, so it says countries as warriors, input country names. So all you have to do is just literally put the country that you want this video to generate for you. So let's just go ahead with the US. I'm going to put the United States. So as soon as you click on submit, now what's happening is there you go. The n8n form trigger gets submitted. This OpenAI generates the prompt. So it takes that country name, and for that specific country, it generates a prompt for the FLUX image generator. So as you can see, the prompt got generated. Now the next step is to reach out to FLUX. So this is going to create that amazing image, and then afterwards we're going to extract that file and convert it to a base64 string that I'm going to explain exactly what it is. Then we're going to send this to our Runway ML, which is one of the most powerful video models out in there in the market, to generate the animation of the video, right? So this step is creating the image with FLUX Dev, which is one of the most popular models out there for creating an image. And then afterwards, we're just extracting that image. We're sending it to the video here, or to this Runway API to generate the video animation. And then afterwards, so the reason why there is a wait note here is because it takes a few seconds to generate the video. So in this step, we're sending that job, or we're sending that information to Runway, and then we need to have like a wait note, so that way it's processing it. And then afterwards, we'll get the video URL in this step, and as you can see, it got done. And then we're going to input this into our nice Google Sheet, and then also send ourselves an email with the link to that particular file. So that way all we have to do is just grab that, download it, put it on our social media. Very, very simple. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we inputted United States. So if I go to my Google Sheets here, all right, so there you go. I generated a few others earlier that I'm going to show you as well, but on the bottom it says United States. That's the one that we just generated. So all I have to do is click on this link, and this will open up that link for us. And perfect. So this is the image. Let's go ahead and play this and see what it generated. Very cool. So that's exactly like the videos we looked at, right? It's very cool. This huge kind of like muscular person with the head of the eagle in this case, because it's the US, but for different countries, it will generate different kind of animal heads according to whatever is relevant to that country, with this muscular build. And kind of it's like a soldier, and it's kind of walking towards the camera with the background kind of a bit blurry, so that way the focus is on the soldier. So it's very cool. As you can see, it generates it properly. And like I said, I generated a few others, so let's take a look at those. This one was for Egypt, so this is really cool. There you go. It's kind of like running towards the camera with the background like being in the pyramids. This one was like so I tried different models, and I'm going to show you exactly how different ones look different. So this one's kind of like a Moroccan soldier walking towards the camera with a sword and really cool clothing there. And then this one's like in Norway. So I input in Norway and this is what it generated. So as you can see, it's really, really cool. And what we can do is I'm going to show you at the end how to combine these so that way you can post on your social media. All right, so now let's go ahead. Now that we saw this, let's go ahead and start to build this thing out. So the first thing is we need to generate the prompt section, right? So we'll go this one section by section. We'll generate this section first. We'll create image, and then we'll go create the video, and then we're gonna send this to our Google Sheets and email. So let me go ahead and delete this and start fresh. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to add a form trigger, right? So this is going to be very, very simple. All you have to do is click on the first step. You're going to either search for form or, and again, there's multiple forms here, but I'm just going to use the native n8n form. So if you just say on form submission, all right, there you go. So now our form submission gets pulled up. So you can do a test URL in production, but we're going to keep it in test. I'm going to keep everything the same. I don't need to change anything because this is very simple. Authentication, keep it as none. And then for the form title, this is where you can give some form of a title. So that way your users, or if you're doing it for yourself, then just, you can do whatever you want. But I'm just going to say countries as warriors, right? That's it. And then form description, you know, we can put something in here, but this is optional. I'm just going to say input country name. Country name. There you go. And then in the bottom, we need to have at least one field, and we're just going to keep it very simple, just one field here. So I'm just going to say country, field name. It's going to be text. Yep, text is fine. And then the placeholder, so this is what we want to give the audience like some kind of a example of what to put. So I'm just going to put United States, and this will be the placeholder there. We can always change this later on, okay? And we're going to make this a required field. The response when, we're going to keep it as when form is submitted, and that's it at this point, right? So let's go ahead and test this out and make sure that this is working. So if I click on test workflow here, the form will pull up, and perfect. Countries as warriors, input country name, country, very simple, in United States. So let's go ahead and do something like, I don't know, Germany, right? I'm going to click on submit. So now there you go. Now the form got submitted. So we have this nice data that came through. All right. So the next step is, and this is very, very important, we need to generate the prompt for this, right? Because we need to take this one input that the user is giving us, and we're just going to convert this into a nice prompt that we'll send to our FLUX image generator, and also to our Runway model to create the animations, everything. So let's go ahead and grab a AI model. So I'm just going to use an OpenAI node, but you can feel free to use whatever you want. You can use like a, you know, a basic LLM chain if you want to add like some other AI model like Anthropic or Gemini or whatever it may be. So this is going to be just messaging a model. All right, so that's good to go. OpenAI account, keep it the same. Text resource is going to be text, message a model from list. I actually tried a bunch of different models, and the ones that was like really good was that had the really good result was actually the OI Mini. Sorry, the O3 Mini I meant, yeah. So this is the one that gave me the best results. So, oops, I think I chose the wrong one. O3 Mini, there you go. So for the prompt, this is super important. So let's go ahead and switch this to expression. And then all we have to do is just click copy and paste. So you can play around with this yourself if you want to use ChatGPT. I tested a bunch of it. I spent probably 2-3 hours just testing the prompt to make sure I got the best prompt for this model. So that's what I did. So I actually imported it right here. So as you can see, it's like a third person cinematic prompt. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Majestic walk format, right? Because you want this to walk towards the camera, and you're saying that your task is an advanced AI agent to transform a single country name into a cinematic prompt for the image or video generation, right? So it talks about the different, what the description is supposed to be. Oops. Let me go here. Yeah, and then you want to describe, I'm describing the prompt format to focus on the front-facing slow motion walk, right? And it says warriors, the main subject, large in detail, and you want to emphasize the full body motion. And then also I'm giving it, and these input examples are super important because you want to be able to give this model the proper instruction, the proper example, so that way it doesn't get confused. So I've put all these like long examples to make sure that it doesn't, it understands exactly what it should output. So what I'm going to do is just literally copy this. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it over here, go to prompt and just paste it. That's all, right? So, and then also another important thing is that we need to grab this input right here. So right here, the country, right? So we're just going to grab it's a user input example because this is what the country is going to go that the user is providing. So in our case, it was Germany. So let's go ahead and put that there. All right. So that's good to go. So now what we need to do is, and also make sure that the output content as JSON, so that way we can grab it to the next models there. All right. So let's go ahead and test this step and make sure that it generates the proper prompt for this country. Go ahead and wait for it to generate. And remember, you can always play around with the different models. So if you see that the O3 Mini is not generating the proper prompt or the video is coming out not as great as you want, then feel free to play around with the different models. Or if you want to add completely like a non-OpenAI model, feel free to do that as well. All right, so it looks like it generated the prompt. Says striding with purposeful slow motion intense through a fog-laden medieval landscape, a massive eagle-head warrior with rippling muscles, blah blah blah. Right, so that's good to go. It looks like it generated the prompt properly. So now let's go ahead and add our next step. So for now, the step to generate the prompt is complete. So let's go ahead and add a sticky note. So I'm just going to say generate prompt. Okay, that's done. There you go. So now we can drag this here. Oh, it's a little too big. All right, perfect. That's nice. So we can give this a different color. Let's make it red. All right, good. Actually, red is a little too bright. There you go, we'll make it purple. All right, so the next step is now to generate the image from this prompt, right? So what we need to do is we need to attach our HTTP request tool because we're going to be actually reaching out to Hugging Face Inference API, which is free, by the way, to use. So let's go ahead and add our HTTP request tool. By the way, I did a similar version of this, kind of like the Runway with the POV video, which was, I believe, yeah, these viral POV videos. So make sure you check that out as well if you want. And again, same thing there. It's pretty much similar as far as like the steps and the prompt and everything. But anyway, so for this one, what we need to do is add this HTTP request tool. We need to change the method from get to post, because obviously we're sending this request to the API to FLUX. So therefore we need to change the method to post. Actually, another good step is to change these node types. I'm just going to say create FLUX image. By the way, just because I'm using the FLUX model, you don't have to. I mean, you can use another one, but I just figure this is easy because it's very simple and free to generate. So that's why I'm using the FLUX model through the Hugging Face API. So anyways, for the URL, what we need to do is now we need to add the URL that this prompt needs to reach out to for this FLUX model to be able to generate this image. So again, same thing. I'm just going to go back here to the videos and we're going to reach out to our Hugging Face right here. This is the URL, generate image with flux.1, right? So if I click on this, this will take you to actually the model. So this is the model that we're going to be using, flux.1/Schnell. And this is, like I said, one of the most popular models out in the market. And this gives you all the details. So feel free to check that out if you want to know more about that particular model. But what we need to do is to generate that particular image, we need to reach out to a particular API endpoint, which in the bottom I've put it right here. It says generate image with Flux, right? So all you have to do is just copy this URL, copy, and I'm gonna, where'd it go? Paste it right here. Okay. The authentication, we're gonna keep this as generic credential type. And then for the generic auth type, so here's we have several options here. So what we need to do is add, I'm going to use the custom auth, but then there's other options there as well. You can use a header auth, but I'm going to use custom auth because it's very simple. So here's where we now need to provide our custom authorization. Since I already have my Runway, but I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how to add that because I have a bunch of other stuff in here. But let's go ahead and click on create new credentials. So now what you need to do is you need to head over to the model that we looked at right here. So this is where you need to reach out to this particular endpoint, and you can read through the documentation and it will show you exactly what endpoints are here. So as you can see here, that gives you an example, but I've made it very, very simple for you. So all you have to do is just copy this and paste it, and I will show you exactly where to get this token here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go back to our workflow here and paste. So for authorization is going to be bearer and then your token. So this is where we need to grab our token from our Hugging Face, right? So I'm just going to delete this. You're going to keep the bearer as it is. So in order to generate your token, you need to head over to the top here and then click on create Hugging Face token. So if you just click on this link, this will take you directly to this link here. If you don't have an account, you can create a free account. By the way, all of this is free. So all you have to do is click on create new token. You're going to head over to right. You're going to give this a name. So give whatever name you want. You're just going to click on create token. This will generate a token, and you're going to come back and you're literally going to paste it right here. That's it. Once you're done, make sure you name your auth something like a FLUX model or something like that. So that way, or a Hugging Face token or something like that. So that way you don't get confused. Okay. So very, very simple. Just paste it right here and you're all set. You're going to click on save and you'll be good to go. Since I've already have done that, I'll be using my own Hugging Face right here, the custom auth. So I've just named it Hugging Face. That's it. All right. So then afterwards, leave the send query parameters as it is. We don't need to send headers, and but we do need to send the body, right? Because this is where we need to send that prompt there. And then as far as the parameters, it takes just one parameter. It's going to be called inputs, right? And then the value, you're just going to put prompt, and we're just going to drag our prompt from here to right here. Okay. And perfect. There you go. As you can see. So now this is the prompt that we generated from the previous step. So this is going to essentially bring that over, because this is what we need to send to this FLUX model to generate the image according to this exact prompt, right? So from this, that's all you need to do. So let's go ahead and test this step and then see exactly what this generates. So I'm going to click on test step. So let's wait for this to now generate. So it's going to reach out to this FLUX model, if we did everything right, to this API, and this should generate that image, and then we'll be able to download that image into our workflow here. So let's wait for this to, and there you go. So it generated the image. All right, so cool. It created kind of this eagle type of soldier with the background, kind of have like a German landscape, you know, and actually this is pretty nice. So anyways, so that's that. Now that part is done, so now let's go ahead and convert this, because we need to be able to convert this image from a binary file, because right now it's just a binary file. We need to take this and convert it to a base64 string. What that means is basically we're going to convert this image to a text form, so that way we can send this to our next step, to our Runway, so that way that could generate kind of like an animation version of this. So because the reason why this makes things easier is because otherwise you would have to host this URL in some kind of a third-party cloud, like maybe an AWS or something like that, and then grab that URL of that image and send it to a video generation model. So it's just a big headache. The great thing about Runway is it accepts like a base64 version of a image, which is essentially like a big long gibberish text, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna click on the plus button here, and we're gonna look for extract. So extract from file, right? If you click on this, there's a bunch of different things that you can extract from. So on the bottom, all the way in the bottom, it says move file to base64 strings. You're going to click on this, and you don't need to do anything else. Just leave everything as it is. So this is going to essentially take this file and convert it into like a text version or a base64 string. If I click on test step, you'll see now, there you go. It took this file and now it converted into this really long, like string basically. Again, you don't have to know what's going on here. Just know that it works here. All right, so let's go ahead now that we're done with that step. So we created an image and we converted it to a base64 string. So now let's go ahead and add like a note here too. I'm gonna say create FLUX image, right? So we're good to go there. All right, bring this over here. All right, perfect. See, this one is a little too big. All right, so that's good to go. Let's go ahead and change the color to green. All right, so the next step is like we need to now generate our video, right? So now that we have this string form of this image, let's go ahead and now send this over to our Runway model. And the way to do that, same thing, we're going to use our HTTP request tool. So HTTP request. Let me pull this on this way. There you go. So let's go ahead and sign. All right, same thing. We're going to be using our post method, and for the URL, for the URL, we're gonna go same thing and come scroll down here. It says generate video with Runway method post URL. You're gonna copy this and paste it here. Okay, paste. All right. So before we move on to authentication, let's go ahead and take a look at what this model is. If I scroll to the top here, so if I go to Runway Gen 3 Alpha prompting, where you go, Runway, where's Runway? Runway API documentation, there you go. So this is the Runway API documentation. So all of the stuff that I'm pulling here, the different prompts here. So the different body and authorization, everything, all of that is coming in from this document itself. Again, you can head over to dev.runwayml.com/API. If you want to do this all on your own, you can certainly do that. But we'll be basically using this image to video endpoint. And it has all the documentation details if you want to check it out. By the way, Runway is a great resource, or Runway is a great model. If you're interested about finding out more on how it works, you can click on this Runway Gen 3 Alpha prompting guide. This will actually show you the proper way to prompt this, prompt these models, or how to use prompting to create animation. But I've already incorporated all of this inside our OpenAI prompting that we just provided earlier. But again, feel free to check that out, and you can test it out yourself and come up with your own if you want to. All right, so that's done. So let's go ahead and, oh, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar, like Runway is a very popular, Runway ML. It's a very popular text to image, image to video, video to video model. It's based in the US. Again, super popular and very easy to use because of how nice and easy their API documentation is. But anyways, feel free to check that out when you get a chance. All right, so on the HTTP request tool, same thing. You're just gonna copy this URL right here, paste it over here, and we're done there. So authentication, same thing. We're gonna grab generic authentication. The auth type, I'm gonna do custom auth again. I've already done Runway, but let me show you what to do. You're gonna click on new credentials, and it's gonna be the same thing, your JSON. So I'm gonna come back here, and here's what you need to copy. This is what you need to copy. I'm gonna copy this, go back here, paste it. So leave everything as it is. The only thing you need to change is your API key. So I'm just gonna delete this, right? So it's gonna be authorization bearer space, and then you're gonna grab your API key. So let me show you what to do that there, how to do that there. So you're gonna, again, same thing, head over to your Runway API documentation, so that way you can read exactly what that is. But to generate the API key, you're gonna click on this, which is dev.runwayml.com. This will bring you to your API account. You're gonna have to create a API account, and you will click on this. You're gonna head over to API keys, click on new API key, and this will generate an API key. By the way, obviously this is not free. Majority of these image to video models are not free, but for this one, for a 5-second video, it costs 25 cents. For a 10-second video, it costs 50 cents, I believe. But if you put like $5, $10, that's like plenty there for you to generate like your videos, and you can test different things out. But anyway, so you're gonna click on that new API key, generate your API key. You're gonna come back here and paste your API key, and then obviously change this to like a Runway ML credential or something like that, and you're gonna click on save. Everything else you're gonna leave exactly as it is. So once you click on save, since I already have one, then you'll select your custom auth there. All right, so we also need to send body parameters here. So you're gonna click on send body here. You're gonna leave everything as it is, except you're gonna change, instead of the using fields below, you're gonna change using JSON below, okay? And we're gonna head back to the community here, and then the bottom body right here says body JSON. Just literally copy this and paste it here. Oops, there you go, paste it here. Okay. All right, so we're gonna copy it and paste it. And if you, by the way, if you run into this issue that this prompt text is not being properly generated, or if it's not being recognized, so that's fine. You can just go ahead and get rid of this, because that's just kind of like a placeholder. And you're gonna come back here, and you're gonna grab the prompt from right here, because we need to send this a prompt along with the image, right? So there you go. So I'm gonna grab this from here, but you can grab it from the previous node as well. And then also the data, we need to send that image data as base64 strings. So same thing, I'm just doing prompt image data image/jpeg base64, and then you're adding this base. So I'm grabbing this and putting it right here, right? But if you copied it from the community, everything should come over except this. If it gives you an error, same thing, all you have to do is just delete it and grab your prompt from here. All right, so it looks like we're good to go there. Everything else you're gonna leave the same. So now I'm gonna click on test step, and then this should reach out to our Runway API. And as you can see, it's running right now. So if I go inside, this should give us an ID if we did everything correct. The reason why this should give us an ID is because this is a job ID, meaning that right now this is processing it, right? So that's why we have to put a wait note here, So that way we can do this completely automatically without going step by step. So that way you're going to click on that plus button. You're going to look for wait. So this wait node is great. You can actually put the amount of time it should wait. So I'm just going to put like 40 seconds. 40 seconds is more than enough. Okay. So once you do that, and now this will basically wait for that. But for now, let's go ahead and delete this because, oops. Yeah, let's delete this and put them here for now. Because when we test this, the entire workflow, then you'll see that this will actually process that. So let's go ahead and wait now. And then the next step is going to be adding our, so once this ID gets processed, now we need to reach back to another endpoint in Runway to get that file once it gets processed. So the way to do that is same thing. We're going to add another HTTP request tool. So you're going to look for HTTP. Oops. Okay, this time the method is going to be get the URL. So this is going to be a different URL now. So if I go back here and take a look at this get video from Runway, so method get URL. So you're just going to copy this. So this is going back here, paste it in here. And this is the JSON ID is going to be the file or the ID from the previous node that we got, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. So authentication, you can same thing, go to the generic credential type and use a custom auth, but this time I'm going to use another method so that way you can see what's possible. So this time I'm only going to send headers. So you're going to click on send headers. We're going to leave it as using fields below. And then for the name and value, I'm going to go back here and then here it says send headers, right? So you're going to do authorization. Okay. Don't copy the colon, by the way. So authorization. There you go. For the value, just going to copy this. And by the way, this is going to be yours. Obviously, this is going to be your API key, right? So make sure you're using your API key that you generated earlier on Runway. So you're just going to paste this. So bearer and then your API key, right? Whoops, I think I got that wrong. Let's go back. Yeah, I forgot to copy this. So you're just going to copy this whole thing. Copy. But just make sure, like I said, you replace yours. And there you go. So bearer and then your API key. Perfect. We're going to add another parameter and then we're going to go back here. And then the second one is Runway version. X Runway version. Okay. And then we're going to paste this. You don't need to change this. It's just 2024-11-06. Okay. Value. And perfect. So we're pretty much done at this point as far as the headers. We don't need to do anything else. We don't need to send any body or anything like that. We're just good to go here. So now let's go ahead and attach it so that we can grab that job ID. This is the ID we're getting, right? And that's coming in from that previous post request we sent, right? So let's switch this to expression. Yep, it should automatically apply this because it's just the JSON.id. That's it, right? Because it's the schema, so you're just grabbing this here. But if you copy it and paste it from the community, everything should be good to go. So now let's go ahead and test this stuff, and this should hopefully have generated that video link. Authorization failed. Oh yeah, that's because I copied the wrong one. So let me go ahead and bring my actual key because that was just a sample key I put on my community. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paste this. All right, so now I'll put my key there. There you go. Oh, bearer. Perfect. So I'm gonna click on test step, and this time it should work. And there you go, succeeded. This is the status, meaning that the video got generated, and this is the output. This output is this link right here. So all I'm gonna do is copy this and paste it. So let's go ahead and paste it and see what it did. All right, that looks really cool, right? The eagle head with the sword in the hand with the German architecture in the background. And again, like you can try something else too. Like you can try different prompts, different methods. We'll try another one like as a whole so that way you can see exactly how it works. Okay, cool. So that's good. So now we're good to go at this point. So now we can add it to our Google Sheet. So what I've done is I've created this Google Sheet called Countries as Soldiers. It has two columns, country and video link, like very, very simple, right? So that's what we will do. We'll go ahead and add a Google Sheet. So search for sheet. And we need to append or update a row. All right, so let me bring this over. So make sure you select your Google account and then from list. So if you have connected your account properly, this should list all of the files that are there. And there you go. It says countries as soldiers. So when you click on that and it says load sheet. So once you load the sheet, this says mapping column mode manually, columns to match. We're going to match it on country, let's say, and then this will load up those two columns that came through. So the country is going to be, I'm just going to use it from the form submission. So right here, make sure you don't leave this blank because otherwise it will throw an error. And then the video link is going to be from our last output right here. And perfect. So we're all set. So let's go ahead and click on test step, and this should add this to our Google Sheet there. There you go. Perfect. All right. It looks like it works. So let's go ahead and check out our Google Sheet. And there you go. Germany showed up now. If I click on this link, it should be the same video. There you go. Perfect. All right, cool. So that's good. And now we can also add, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but you can also add like a Gmail. If you want to send this to your Gmail, feel free to add that. So that way you're getting a link. So I'm just going to click on send message, and I'm just going to send this to my email. And then, so just put in your email subject, say, hi, this is your video, and you're going to literally grab this and put them out there. Yep. Put them on the message, so that way this sends you that link, right? But I mean, again, you don't have to do this. All right, so that's good to go. We're done there. So let's go ahead and add another sticky note. Actually, so I'm gonna actually bring in, so that way we can test this one more time. I'm gonna bring this inside between these because we need to set a wait node. Connect this to this. Make sure this is 40 seconds. That's good to go. All right, so now let's go ahead and add our sticky note. Whoops. Sticky note. And I'm just going to say generate video with Runway ML. Perfect. Bring this over here. And awesome. Cool. And that's it. We're pretty much done. So this time it's going to be blue. There you go. Looks nice and clean. Okay, so let's go ahead and do one final test so that way everything works. I'm going to click on test. The form will pull up. And then this time let's do United Kingdom. If I can type. Okay. Click on submit. So now this should submit everything. It's going to generate the OpenAI. It's going to generate that prompt, and it's going to send it over to the image generation here. This is going to generate the FLUX image. This should extract the file from that image to convert it to base64 string. And then afterwards, this should send this to our Runway ML, and we're going to wait for 40 seconds. And then afterwards, use our get method to grab that video URL with using the HTTP request node here, and then we'll put that into our sheet. So this time you'll see that United Kingdom should be right here at the bottom once everything goes through. So there you go. Now we're going to wait for 40 seconds. So it will generate the video and then put it there. Again, all of this, the information, even if you're not part of the community, you can read through, the Hugging Face. Hugging Face is super popular. There's a lot of models there that you can use via the inference API in your n8n. And then also for Runway, if you take a look at this, this is a really good prompting guide that they have put for this Gen Alpha, which is their image to video model. So read through this because this shows you exactly how to kind of generate the proper prompts as far as the different angles, as far as like the camera location and all of that. So you can read through this and then generate your own prompt if you want. But what I did is this prompt that you're seeing right here. So this is generated according to the instructions from the FLUX model, right? This Black Forest for this, because I'm using the same node to generate the prompt. That's going to be kind of a universal prompt both for the image and for the image to video. But you can separate that if you want to change that and have another node there. You can certainly do that. All right. So it looks like this got done. Let's see what happened here. Oh, because I forgot to connect this wait node to that. So but that's fine. You can get rid of this for now because this went directly to here. Let's go ahead and test this step. Okay, so it looks like everything is good to go. It looks like this got completed. So let's go take a look at the Google Sheet here, United Kingdom. So let's click on this. And there you go, nice. So it's got like a lion with the UK colors and the armor and everything like that. In the background, you can see it's got different architecture, and then kind of like the zoom in or the camera kind of coming in or the character coming in towards the camera. So again, feel free to play around. If you want to use the different models, you're more than welcome to do that. But essentially, that's kind of the gist of it, the whole process. You can certainly play around with different aspects of this, or even if you want to reach out to a different model in the FLUX to Hugging Face, try those as well. Anyways, hopefully you found this helpful. Now, the way to add this and make this combine all these different links that are coming in together. So if you want to create one video, it's very simple. Just because, again, there's times where I always tell people, just because you can use automation doesn't mean you should, because now if you automate the next step, that's going to be actually more work for you. So the easiest thing to do is just add some kind of a video editor, so that way you can, because these are very easily downloadable, right? So all you have to do is come in the bottom here and you can click on download, and now you have this thing downloaded on your own machine. So then you can use some kind of a video editor to just basically combine them together, add the countries or the labels on top of it, and you're pretty much all set. That way you can just export that and then add it to your Instagram or your YouTube and stuff like that as well. You don't need to automate that process because the manual process is a lot more simpler. It's going to require more work for you to automate that process than do it manually. So that's why, like I said, just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should, because the whole point of automation is to make your work efficient, not create more problems or create more work. So that's why I said for that step, the manual is the better option to go. Anyways, again, hopefully you found this helpful. If you want to learn more about creating these amazing agents and workflows, make sure you join the community. I'm going to put the link in the description. Make sure you like and subscribe. I've got a lot of great content in the coming futures. You don't want to miss that. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you in the next one.